Well, I've also brought up Farmer Kristen, who is my wife. And I would just like to say that I appreciate everybody who's spoken and the musical performances and the spirit that everybody has brought here. And I, of course, could give you my opinions and rant and complain, and I'm very saddened and troubled by so many things. And farming is also a force for good and for positive environmental change and for creating the world that we want to have. And that's what we do. So I brought my dear wife here because she speaks and also looks a lot better than I do. So, Kristen, let's talk a little bit about Pie in the Sky Berry Farm. Now, I want to preface by saying I worked for 25 years on farms all over the country, but only in the last 5 years have we had our own farm, and so we've been able to sort of do things the way we want to do it. And one of the things is we like to welcome people to our farm. And Kristen, what is it like for people when they come to our farm? First, describe where it is and so on.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Kristen, and owner of Pie in the Sky Berry Farm. We're in the Northampton Meadows. It's by the airport. When we first learned about the farm, we had never been to the Northampton Meadows on the Connecticut River, and many people hadn't. And in fact, people didn't feel like they were welcome there because it's a private road, and everyone just goes to the fairgrounds, and they never go out there. But it could potentially be the largest contiguous block of farmland in the whole state of Massachusetts. And it's also the floodplain, and as Joe Gravelin so eloquently spoke of, the thousands of generations of indigenous folks who were there and still are there. So it's 8.5 acres, it's all organic, and we really want to welcome people there. Sometimes we do strawberries, blueberries, and flowers, and sometimes we're the first fruit a child ever picks. And they actually get to come out and experience what it looks like, feel it, touch it. We have no rules. We say sampling is encouraged. And so we welcome people to come to the farm. We are available via the bus. You can ride your bike. We've had college students walk 7 miles from Amherst College to our farm. We're right in Northampton. And so we're very welcoming, and I actually sometimes like to dress up in a strawberry dress or blueberries or a strawberry Converse. And so we just like to have fun at our farm, and we love to welcome people, and we keep our prices low. So when strawberries were $11 at the co-op, non-organic, ours were $5 organic. So we want to make sure that people all have access to food. Oh, and now I get to ask Farmer Fred a question. So Fred, tell me about the sign you see when you first get to the farm.
Well, we just put up a little seasonal sign that says, it's just a little painted sign, and the words are, "We are still in Eden." Now, this is actually a quote, and it's a quote from a famous landscape painter, Thomas Cole. Thomas Cole painted a picture from the top of Mount Holyoke in 1836, I believe, which is called the Oxbow. It's one of the most famous paintings in American history, and it was one of the first views of how beautiful North America is. And that was his personal philosophy and something that he said at that time. And of course, as we've heard, and we know that in the 1800s, a lot of New England and the Northeast was actually in pretty bad shape in terms of the abuse. But he said, and he expressed, that we are still in Eden, and that is our operating principle, and that's the way we see it also. Now, Kristen, what are some of our conservation practices?
So we're so thrilled to be here because we are so privileged to have 8.5 acres that we consider ourselves stewards of. We wouldn't actually even have been able to buy the farm except for state resources that were put into protecting it as forever farmland, so it made it more affordable. We know there are so many farmers that are looking for land to farm. Some of the arguments that are made about putting solar on farmland is that it's because there's no one who will farm the land, and that is categorically incorrect. There are people who would love to farm any of the farm that's available. So we're lucky to have our APR on our farm, the Ag Protection Program. We are low-till. We very rarely use a tractor unless we have to, and Farmer Fred loves to use a scythe and regularly gives people lessons on how to do it. We use no plastic. It's a dirty little secret of farming, is all the plastic waste at the end of the season.
Except for the irrigation.
Except for the irrigation. And also we do a lot of pollinator habitat. So if you come to our farm, you have a beautiful view of the Summit House, the Holyoke Range, and we have butterflies, bees, birds, hawks, you name it. So we would love to steward the land and also provide local food for people. Oh, and Fred, what the heck is the use of, what's dual use? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
All right. Well, we'll just wrap it up here with a little diatribe because I can't resist. So, dual-use solar is a marketing concept that is being foisted upon people who are very well-meaning, but who actually don't know very much or almost anything about farming or about, you know, the very large intentions of the solar industry. As Sharon said, the 150,000 acres, which includes farmland. Now, I think it might be possible to do some small-scale farming under a forest of metal poles, but that's not what they're looking for. This site in Northfield is 76 acres, and this is prime cropland. It's irrigated, and you know it's 29,000 poles just to start with. So this is a tremendous operational problem for any mechanized farm, and on the scale which we're talking about, of course it's going to be mechanized. And nobody knows if you can actually grow any of the Massachusetts crops that are grown at large scale underneath 50% shade. It's unlikely to succeed. And also we do know from expert hydrologists that we talk to that the soil hydrology will never be the same because of the way the panels will interfere with the movement of rainwater over the period of 35 years. And also the trenching that goes on to install these things. So the land would never be the same, and in fact, it's quite unlikely to ever go back to being farmland. Because, look at it this way, if it's a $26 million investment that some private capital investment firm is putting into it, they're not likely to walk away from it. They're likely to expect that 35 years from now, that's going to be worth twice that much money. So we might face the future in which we need to buy back our farmland from large multinational corporations that essentially own it through these solar installations. So I know no farmer who wants these things, and the farmers in Northampton, and I'm talking about conventional farmers, you know, the supposed conventional farmers who meet as the Northampton Ag Commission, are firmly opposed to turning our beautiful Northampton meadows, and which we consider, even us old white men, consider to be our sacred duty to pass on to the future as fertile farmland, as we received it. Thank you.